Well, nobody sent me the memo for my own show that on Super Bowl Sunday you're supposed to wear this light blue Mark Nelson denim plaid checkered jacket.
We apologize. We did not get with you beforehand. We sent the
Could
email.
you you let me know next time you decide to dress like this? Okay, so
We Snapchatted you.
So you did not. So the past week for Tennessee, there have been 2 sucker punches. I mean, back to back, just sucker punches. Was there a time in your football career where you felt like, man, it reminds me of that?
No, absolutely. 2006 LSU at home.
Okay.
We're up, and Jamarcus Russell goes down and throws a touchdown pass. I think it was early Doucette, and a couple plays before he had fumbled, and the referees missed it.
Yeah.
So I know exactly how it feels. I mean, 2005, Alabama, we go down, and we're about to score a touchdown to win the game in the late seconds, and then we fumble into the end zone. So I know how it feels. It's tough. And that's football, because if you lose a game, that hurts where you're going with the bowl. Basketball is different because you can still achieve everything you want to achieve,
but the key
even
to
losing.
Yeah, but the key to all this is, Austin, is you have a chance in basketball, like Jason's saying, to recover. You know, yeah, it hurts to lose those 2 games, but at the same time, it doesn't really affect your ability to achieve the goals that you set forth before the season began. It just kind of stinks right now.
Yeah, correct. I mean, you know, you're not going to go undefeated in basketball. Losses are just weighted differently. And trust me, you know, I get being frustrated, you know, Tennessee's inability to close a game out. You know, they've had, you know, an opportunity to make free throws, put games away. They were unable to do them, and then 2 teams made shots. Missouri made a lot of great shots yesterday that were, you know, just super contested threes that, you know, they just stuck it in Tennessee's eye and said, you're going to take it and like it. And, you know, but credit Tennessee, man, they were down near 20 points yesterday, battled all the way back, got the lead, and, you know, again, a unbelievable last-second 3, you know, does Tennessee in. But, hey, you have a chance to learn from it. This Tennessee team, I think, you know, it won't surprise me at all if they go and win against Alabama at home midweek and beat Kentucky on the road after losing these 2 games. Nothing will surprise me about this group because they're more than capable. And I told you before the show, Jason, I think Tennessee's better if they actually lose a few of these games and go into the tournament as the 4 seed and not some like borderline 1 or 2 seed with all the pressure and weight.
You mentioned learning something, and that's important because I felt like the Vanderbilt game to the Missouri game, I don't know how much we learned. I mean, you have Zakai Ziegler that got himself in foul trouble in the Vanderbilt game, fouled out against Missouri. He had a young player, Antopia Walker, who's unbelievable fun to watch. He's a beast on the glass. Made a mistake against Vanderbilt, mental mistake. Made the same type of mental mistake late in the game against Missouri. You have Santi, who we had on last week, who has been clutch from the free throw line during his career. Missed free throws against Vandy, also missed free throws late against Missouri. So it is about learning from your mistakes. Tennessee, I don't know if they did a lot of it from the Vanderbilt-Mizzou game, but here's a chance to do it now because Alabama coming in and you have to play, you know, probably your best basketball game that you've played this month or the last 30 days
or this
to be able
season.
to beat Alabama, for sure.
No Josiah-Jordan James this weekend. He was out, and he'll join us on the show coming up. But the one thing I learned about this team over the last couple of games is you can count on Fozzie Bear himself, Tobe Awaka Waka, a little bit more and more every game. The freshman gets better and better. I see Josiah smiling out of the corner of my eye. And the one thing, and the biggest thing I take away from this 2-game stretch is it's kind of been like, oh, Tyreek Key, welcome to the show.
Sure.
He's all of a sudden got a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
You give a shooter some confidence heading into March, all of a sudden that changes things because it makes everything a little bit more, I guess, everybody's a little more versatile. The spacing's a little bit better. It opens things up for Kamwa or Adu or whoever in the post. Like, I think this is a real game changer if Tyreek Key keeps making shots. He did so. He had 14 at Vanderbilt, 10 of those in the first half, and then 21 in the second half, you know, against Missouri yesterday. So
almost has become the go-to guy.
Yeah, I mean, again, like
with Triple J out.
He played like this at Indiana State. That's why they brought him back home. Kids from Tennessee, was MVP in the state tournament several years ago. Just a shooter. He got that like John Starks, like 1992 look going. I love that. I wish more kids would do that. But at the same time, like I think for this team, it needs that shot in the arm, and I think he can be that.
Key, the last 2 games, he's been unbelievable. He's been great.
Yeah.
I thought something positive we could take from this game is that Mizzou forced Tennessee to have to play small in the second half. And that's how we were able to claw back in that basketball game. And that's something that we can possibly use moving forward. I mean, talk about learning from your mistakes, but how about learning in a loss and developing something that may help you later on? Last year, Josiah had the go-ahead 3 where he missed, but the confidence to shoot it, and it was a great-looking shot, just didn't go in. But from that moment, I thought we found something that helped us become a better team. This possibly could be the same thing that happened with the second half of Mizzou, having to play small and open up the court for guys like Tyreek Key to make shots.
Okay. I agree with him what he's saying. Play small. Think about it. You played small yesterday, had some success, and to me, the best player on your team in a small lineup, because he can step out and make the 3, he can run the point if he needs to, but he can also sit in there and play the 4, is Josiah-Jordan James. And he wasn't available yesterday. So if you can expand on playing small and add him to the mix, all of a sudden that small lineup looks pretty good.
I will say this, Director Josh, let's go ahead and get that SOT ready from UT after the Vanderbilt game. By the way, Jason, you might want to get your phone out and record Austin saying, Jason, I think you're right. When you're having a bad time, you can just hit play over and over again, make yourself feel better about yourself. But
waka waka.
Yeah, it beat you saying, Urosh. Okay, so this past week you had the 2 last-second losses. It all started with the heartbreak at Vanderbilt earlier in the week, and here's Rick Barnes after the game talking about a decision maybe that should have been made a little differently.
I don't think he'll ever make that mistake again, but fact is, I mean, he's the guy out there that hasn't played a lot of minutes. Everybody else has played, and it comes down to where sometimes you got to come down and get a basket like they needed to, and they got it. It comes down sometimes where you got to get a stop, and we did the one thing that you absolutely can't do there.
I think we're all mature enough that we know what we got to do. Just come in tomorrow and watch film and break it down and to see where our mistakes was, and like I said, just learn from it and grow. I think we know we got a mature team, and we're going to learn from it and just keep getting better every day.
So I want to transition kind of quickly here over to Josiah-Jordan James, just because of where we are in this segment, because of the fact that you've got the leadership, you've got the experience of a number of guys that are on the team, and Josiah obviously not really able in a number of the situations to help in those situations. I guess, Josiah, as we flip camera 4 over around to you, how big of a learning experience is it for this team, and how important is it to have those last-second game decisions that have had to be made the last couple of games that are going to help you down the stretch?
It's really big. It just goes to show that something that Coach always preaches is that it's a possession game. The last 2 games they've been completely that, just one possession games where, if we do something different in the first half or throughout the game that, maybe we're up 4, 5 points where it's not a one possession game. So it doesn't always come down to the last play or the last shot. It's a process throughout the game, and, just valuing the ball every possession and then playing hard on defense. And so, you just got to do what you got to execute and execute the scouting report at both ends.
I know you would love to have won them both. I know you would have loved to have played against Missouri.
Sure.
But looking at it, Josiah, what have you learned about this team the last 7 days?
I'm super proud of our team. We've hit a wall, we've hit adversity, but I think our response yesterday when we were down 16, 17 in the second half was as big as anything. It shows how good we can be. It shows the fight that we have. We got a long way to go just cleaning up the mistakes, the mental mistakes throughout the game, but the fight that this team showed, I can't be more proud of the guys who are out there.
All right, let's take a break. Jason's going to slide over there for the Food City player perspective. The games coming up for Tennessee, Alabama, at Kentucky, at Texas A&M. Jason and Triple J will talk about that 3-game stretch when we come back.
The Locker Room is brought to you by Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Iris Networks, Knoxville Orthopedic Clinics, and Exterior Home Solutions.
When it comes to the game of football, teamwork is critical for success. When it comes to customer service and business, that team approach is just as critical. That's why we're such believers in our friends at Exterior Home Solutions. We have seen firsthand how Exterior Home Solutions has supported our community and treats their customers just like family. So when it comes to roofing, siding, or maybe a complete overhaul, please make Exterior Home Solutions your first and only call.
Land that corporate dream job. Recalculating. getting the representation and compensation you deserve? You have arrived. OEB Law is there for all of life's detours.
Reporting from Ted Russell Ford, Nick and Jake with some breaking news.
That's right, Nick. The pre-owned patrol's on a new mission, and by new, we mean new Fords.
The forecast says we have new Ford F-150s, Escapes, Explorers, Mustangs, and more arriving on our lot daily.
The best part is every new Ford comes with our non-factory limited lifetime warranty.
You heard it here first. Stop by one of our 2 convenient locations for the best selection on your new Ford.
The new Ford of your dreams awaits you at Ted Russell Ford on Kingston Pike
or Parkside Drive.
I chose LMU because I wanted doors to open for me. For my future to have endless possibilities. To know I could become anything I wanted to be. Objection, Your Honor. I always wanted to say that. So whether I wanted to be a veterinarian, a high school teacher, let's turn to page 32, or a successful dentist, I knew LMU would help me get there. All I had to do was open the door.
Do you want top-of-the-line fitness equipment for home, school, or work? New or reconditioned, Dynabody in Maryville has everything you need to build that gym. Used equipment brands include Paramount, Life Fitness, Nautilus, Hammer Strength, and Precor. Reach for the power with Dynabody.
Well, as we venture into the Food City player perspective, there's one thing about this basketball team is experience.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of players that have played a lot of minutes. Even some of the younger guys have played so many games through the first couple of years that you don't worry about them when things get tight. And Jason, one guy that's itching to get back on the court, and I know Tennessee's hoping, and he's hoping that he can get back on the court coming up this week for a big week against Alabama, Kentucky, is Josiah-Jordan James.
Absolutely, Josiah, and you've been someone that's come in as a 5-star player, and all the pressure's been on you. We had Julian Phillips on a couple weeks ago, and I asked him about who's that big brother, who's been that mentor for him, and he mentioned you. What advice have you given him? He's also a player that came in as a 5-star, a lot of expectations. What type of advice have you given him so far this year?
I just told him from day one just to come in and be himself, buy into his role, but know that there's going to be tough days, there's going to be great days. Early on there's going to be a lot of learning experiences, a lot of growth that you have to do as on and off the court, and I think he's done a great job. I just try to share the knowledge and from my experience that I've had, not struggling with the outside noise early on, being a highly touted recruit, expected to, trying to kind of hold the program up on my shoulders. I don't want anybody to have to feel like that. And, it took me a while to learn that, but I just want him to know off rip that everybody in the locker room has his back, especially me.
You've been kind of an extension of the head coach for this basketball team and program last couple of years. What's the difference between leading while in a uniform versus leading while not in uniform? That was you yesterday. And is there a difference? If so, what is the difference?
There's a big difference. It's really tough. It's not fun being on the sidelines, not being able to go out and compete with your brothers, day in and day out. But, it does give you a sense of perspective. You get to learn a lot. I'm always in coach's ear during practices, during film. And so just trying to learn as much as I can and just be an extension for the guys, always going up if somebody's having a tough day, bad practice, coaches on them, being in their ear telling them they got it, not to worry about it, next play mentality. But I'd much rather be on the court being a leader instead of on the sideline.
What do you do personally to kind of break through a shooting slump? Is it a mindset, or is there a checklist of things you try to do maybe in practice or in the games when the outside shot's not falling?
My thing is just keep the main thing the main thing. Put the work in that you need to. If I'm in a shooting slump, I'll try to put in more work. I'll try to get extra shots up before practice, after practice, but I do that daily. And so my thing is, some games for 40 minutes your shot's just not going to fall. That doesn't change the way you approach it. I approach every day the same and just try to get my work in before and after practice.
What do you feel like, or tell me, when Josiah-Jordan James is at his best? Like, what is going on? Is it outside shooting? Is it rebound, defending? Is it a combination? When is Josiah-Jordan James at his best?
I feel like it's whatever my team needs in that moment. Every game's different. Some games, we have 5 guys in double figures. Some games we have 2. So if it's scoring, I feel like I can do that. I feel like I'm at my best when I'm scoring the ball. I feel like I'm at my best when I'm playing defense, guarding 1 through 4, 1 through 5 at times, and just being talkative and being active and energetic, getting rebounds and pushing the pace and always uplifting my teammates. I feel like that's one thing I can always keep constant.
Losing stinks, ain't no doubt about it, right? But like adversity, here's a time where you learn a lot about yourself.
For sure.
These last two games have been tough, losing, but in a way it's kind of exciting because you get to learn about yourself. What do you expect to see from your teammates and your team coming up in the next couple of games? Yeah,
just like you said, losing does sting. It's no fun to be in this position, but it's a test to the character that you have. How do you respond when your back's against the wall? And I know that we're going to respond in the right way. We got a really big test this week with 2 really good teams, so it doesn't get any easier from here. And I think that we'll just come out like we did in the second half against Missouri and just fight. And that's all Coach wants from us. He knows that, shots will fall, shots may not fall, and so we can't put it all on our offense, but just trying to be the toughest playing team, hardest playing team out there.
You think the second half of Mizzou is something that you can use later on in the season? I think about last year, Texas, the first half wasn't that pretty. Second half, offensively, moving the ball, making some shots, and then they kind of catapulted Tennessee's basketball for the rest of the season, making shots. Do you feel like maybe this second half versus Mizzou can be the same?
I sure hope so. After that Texas loss, everybody, it was a tough spot to be in. That was a really big game for us, a really big game for Coach. We felt like we let him down, but we did a lot of soul searching. We started holding each other accountable, and I think the chips started falling in their place. Like, I think the work that we had put in up to that point, we just took it to a whole nother level, and I sure hope so. Sure hope that we can do that with this loss too.
You've been a guy that's battled some injury, mentality-wise, and you're going through it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got treatments that are probably all day, every day. Kind of, how do you handle that mentally?
My biggest thing is to take care of my mental, I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of meditation and just breathing and just sitting back and kind of taking a step back. And that helps me out a lot, helps me with my mental health, especially in a time where it's tough, where I feel like I need to be out on the court, but my body is just not in a spot where I'm injured. And so I rely on my teammates heavily too. Everybody in that locker room, they've got my best interests, and I can always go to them when I'm, down in the dumps, and they don't let me get down too often. Yeah. So I'd say my teammates, yoga, and also my family. What
role you like kind of playing the most? Because we've heard about this team being a Final Four caliber team, and then we've also seen the adversity as of late. Are you a guy that loves it when people are doubting this team? Because this is going to happen now. Definitely. With the 2 losses. There was a time when people talked about Tennessee and Alabama being the best team in the SEC. Mm-hmm. Now it's about Alabama. Do you like playing kind of the underdog role, or do you love playing the favorite?
I definitely like the underdog approach to everything. I love when people count us out. People, probably right now on social media or throughout the country, they think that we're burnt out. We started off hot, but we weren't able to uphold it. And that just excites me, excites the entire locker room, because we know how much better we can be and how much better we will be. But I just tell people to stay where they're at, and don't try to retract anything that was said when we were down and out.
Keep that same energy, right?
Definitely. That's it.
I love it. Hey, Josiah, one of the best guys here at the University of Tennessee, representing Tennessee. It's been so fun to watch him grow and cover him. And I expect him to bounce back and this team to bounce back.
Sure. That's right. Best representative on the basketball team, one of the best on campus, period, and a really good family who have connected with Vol Nation at basketball games. All the family rolls in here from South Carolina. Should even bring me some Kaminsky's Toll House pie next time they roll in from Charleston.
I got you.
Got some opportunities this week. Hey, if you'd like to support the initiative that is the NIL Inspire Sports, be a member of the Volunteer Club at volunteerclub.com. We're going to touch on football, going to touch on baseball when we come back in the locker room, connected by Iris Networks.
The Locker Room is brought to you by Commercial Bank, Humana, E2 Sports, and OEB Law. The Locker Room is brought to you in part by Knoxville Orthopedic Clinics, the exclusive orthopedic provider for University of Tennessee athletics for over 70 years.
This is the story of John Smith. Not this John Smith, or this John Smith, or any of the other hundreds of John Smiths that are Humana Medicare Advantage members. No, it's this John Smith, who we paired with a Humana team member to help address his own specific health needs. At Humana, we take a personal approach to your health to provide care that's just as unique as you are, no matter what your name is.
Behind every Food City meat and seafood counter is a highly trained, certified butcher. Our butchers offer special orders, custom cuts, and even entire meal recommendations. In fact, you'll be so impressed with our butchers, you'll be asking yourself, what can't they do?
Huh, I bet he'd be great at wrapping presents.
Okay, well, maybe not that. But at Food City, our butchers make almost everything better.
At D1, our slogan is the place for the athlete. But who is the athlete? While you'll see a number of our athletes on courts and fields, not all of those athletes are starting left tackle in the football game. We pride ourselves with being the place for all athletes, 7 to 70, mom or son, dad or daughter, with locations all over Tennessee. And we have training programs for every athlete. So stop by any of our locations and let's find the best athlete in you.
Who made it better this week for Tennessee basketball?
Tyreek Key. He or Tobe
There you
Awaka,
go.
both of them, and again, I think that they can really help this team down the stretch. Get Josiah back and just,
Get Urosh back in the mix.
Zakai's got to, play without putting his team in tough situations, making silly fouls.
You just ignore me?
No.
I threw the Urosh out there and you just kept sliding on through. Okay, football this week. I saw something on Twitter that the fan base was panicking a little bit that they haven't heard of any commitments or big news from Tennessee football, and you don't even remember.
I don't think the fan base is panicking. I think a few people on Twitter are panicking just because, if you don't get one constantly, like they go into, what's wrong?
Is anything happening with Tennessee football, or is this no news, good news right now?
No news is good news.
Yeah, I mean, it's just real laid back. February is a dead month, no recruits on campus, coaches aren't out on the road. It's kind of a downtime, kind of just start building towards spring practice and kind of see where you go from there.
Can we get you to go to a baseball game with us? I mean, the three of us will go out and we'll hang out in the Spire Box or something this spring.
I love baseball games. Actually, I love baseball games more than football and basketball.
Why? Just because it's so...
I love the atmosphere, and I love yelling at the umps. I like saying, come on, Blue. Terrible call, Blue. That was terrible. I love doing that.
The good news is they won't hear you from out in the Spire Box. But
yeah.
I will say this, the All-SEC team announced a couple of Tennessee guys on the first team, 2 pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Dolander is a stud. I mean, he's probably going to be a top 5 pick in the MLB draft come, 3 or 4 months from now.
Right.
And then, Chase Burns. I mean, really, really good freshman year. You add on to that Drew Beam. Last year it was Burns, Dolander, Beam. I think this year it will actually be Dolander, Burns, Beam.
Okay.
And so I think that's kind of the route they'll go. So they start up this week. They're out in Arizona in the MLB Classic, and I expect Tony Vitello to have a new, fun, exciting group. They're not going to be last year's group. Everybody needs to understand that. It'll be a different brand, pitching first. But I think there's some really good players, like a Griffin Merritt, who moves over from Cincinnati, who I think could be Tennessee's best player.
Can I ask you a weird question? When the expectations are as high as they are for Tennessee baseball now, you start number 2 in the country, the expectations are up here. Is it more fun when you don't expect much and then the team overachieves? Or is it more fun when they sit up there in the catbird seat most of the year? You know what I'm saying? Because Tennessee baseball has been so much fun. Does it become more pressure now?
Well, I mean, the reason why you are disappointed as a sports fan and in life is because you have expectations that may be too high and you don't reach them. So
right.
For Tennessee to be number 2, people are only going to expect them to maintain or be even better. And then you mentioned last year, it's hard to expect this baseball team to do what they did last year. Last year was historical.
Or year before.
I mean, it really was.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I expect this team to learn a lot from last year's team,
right?
And when it matters most in the postseason, have a better showing.
Well, their home opener will be what, the 21st, 22nd, 24th, 25th, 26th. I mean, they've got 5 games at home essentially in a 6-day period. Boy, mark it down. Tennessee at LSU, number 1 and number 2 coming up, in April, May-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be the one that everybody marks down. We got to catch a break right here. We'll come back. We will we'll zero in on the week that is coming up for Tennessee basketball and the opportunities in front of the Vols when we come back.
The Locker Room is brought to you by Pilot Company, Ted Russell Ford, Food City, and Lincoln Memorial University.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Costad. Dr. Malone and I here at Knoxville Smiles are here to help you with any of your dental needs, whether it's a routine cleaning, a root canal, or if you just want some advice. Did you know that you don't have to settle for a denture anymore? My team and Dr. Malone are here to help you no matter where you're at and to help you figure out the truth for your dental health. So give us a call or visit our website at knoxvillesmiles.com.
Matlock Tire has a reputation for being a little bit old school. We're proud to be known for our outstanding hometown customer service. We've been doing things that way for over 60 years. But Matlock now offers new modern conveniences, such as family-friendly waiting areas, online appointment scheduling. You can even shop for tires and see our current stock right from your computer or smartphone. We invite you to stop into one of our 5 convenient locations or come see us online at matlocktireservice.com. Modern convenience, hometown service. Matlock Tire Service and Auto Repair.
Hi, I'm Anderson County head football coach David Gill, and I want to tell you about my friends at Exterior Home Solutions, East Tennessee's first choice in roofing. They've been servicing East Tennessee for over 20 years, achieving a 4.9 rating on Google reviews, and are listed as a platinum contractor by Owens Corning. Financing is available. I invite you to learn more about my friends at Exterior Home Solutions on their website, exteriorhomesolutions.com, or give them a call at 865-524-5888.
Got about a minute or so left. The importance of the games this week for Tennessee, or the 3-game stretch, I should say, because you've lost the 2 games in a row. You've lost 3 of your last 4. You've gone from 2 to now out of the top 10. Alabama at home. Then you go on the road at Texas A&M and at Kentucky, then Texas A&M. I mean,
you've got to find a way to win. Definitely 1, if not 2.
Of the 3?
Yep.
And Kentucky's going to be tough. They're currently out of the tournament. They'll be starving for a win.
At Rupp.
Yeah, at Rupp. So good opportunity for Tennessee to bounce back for sure.
Which is the most important game of the 3?
Kentucky.
I'm going to go Alabama. You got to
I'm
protect
going
home court.
Alabama.
You got to protect home court. If you can win that game, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, there's your 1. Now let's see if we can steal 1 on the road. If you lose the game at home, all of a sudden the road games have just that much more attention to them.
I mean, while I understand the Kentucky game and at Rupp, when you talk about resume right now and what we talked about earlier about it being a seed game, if you give Alabama their only SEC loss of the year and they're number 2, number 3 in the country, I mean, that game coming up midweek, they're all 3 huge. We will see you next week. Big week for Tennessee in basketball. Thanks for joining us on the Locker Room connected by
What a
Irish
Super Bowl,
Network.
Packer. What a Super Bowl.
Huh? We'll see you next week.